Over the last couple of months, I've been learning Blender and After Effects in order to finish this. My first proper project, and although I say proper, it's actually a Razer Gamer catheter. Anyway, I wanted to share with you how I made this toxic ripple effect in Blender, but I couldn't because I didn't fully understand what I'd done myself. So I sat down and put together this mood board. I knew how to recreate these green toxic colours, but how will we remake this rippling distortion? Well, without further ado, let's make this toxic ripple effect in Blender. Let's go. We want to add our design into Blender as an SVG. We'll reposition it and set our duration to 5 seconds. Let's keyframe some slight rotation over time and give our design an emission with the strength set to 10 and use a wave texture scaled up to 100 to control the colour. We'll add this colour ramp too, and I'll explain why in a moment. But first we need to add a background. We'll set the base colour to black and lower the roughness to reflect some of the glow. Now we'll add this plane in front to be our plastic bag. We'll keep its height but shrink the width and fit the camera to view here. Let's also keyframe the camera position to add this slight dolly out. We'll give the bag loads of loop cuts and squeeze these vertical cuts in. Now we want to add and apply a solidify modifier. We'll give the bag a green glass material and plug some surface imperfections into the roughness. There's a link for these below. We'll set it to non-colour and use a colour ramp to adjust their strength. Let's also remember to Smart UV unwrap the bag. And finally, let's add this Studio HDRI, which you can find a link for below. But what about the ripple? Well, this is the key to give it a cloth modifier, and under the physics tab, turn on pressure. Let's set it to 1 and turn down the shrink factor to -0.01. Now we can set this to bake for the duration. And Okay, that wasn't meant to happen. We need to turn off gravity under the field weights and rebake. Now it's working, but you can see it looks janky. So let's shade smooth and press Ctrl 2 to add a subdiv. It looks good, but maybe you want this to be more colourful. Well, let's set the green glass to white and come back to this colour ramp from earlier. We just want to add a red keyframe at the beginning and at the end. Come 1/3 of the way in and keyframe it to blue. Now come 2/3 of the way in and set the keyframe to a bright green. I tried rendering this out in Eevee and got something like this, but for now I'm going to set this back to white and the bag back to green. Let's render this out in cycles using 100 samples and the denoise option checked. So this is how we get this toxic ripple effect in Blender. But why not try this RGB animation in Eevee? And you could go even further by applying a displacement map in After Effects. Because I love to see the work you've been making, like Chroma's Ripple Design series, which uses fantastic halftone texture. Or this smooth ripple simulation from Artistic Visions. And Kays has turned up the complexity in this ripple effect. But most of all, I sympathise with Mayfiz's yellow guy caught out in the rain. Do you ever feel like this? I hope you guys enjoyed making these ripples as much as I did. And by the way, I thought this displacement map worked so well, I used it in this week's poster design, available for free from my Patreon. Remember to join Patreon to become a living legend and to tell me what you think of this really real fruit juice.